Did Death Stranding predict COVID? Sam Strand is the equivalent of an Amazon employee making deliveries during the pandemic. BTs could be thought of as the SARS virus. We can't see the pathogen and have no idea until we run directly into it. If viewed through an allegorical framework, the narrative has a deep appreciation for frontline workers during the outbreak. Rather than focus on the stereotypical hero, our journey follows a porter. He doesn't want to deliver packages, but people rely on him. We all love USPS, UPS, and even Amazon. These companies offer unparalleled convenience for the customer. They also provide resources to millions. Many receive medical supplies through the mail, which they wouldn't normally have access to. In a lot of ways, frontline staff save lives. Unfortunately, these amazing workers don't get the credit they deserve.
But with Amazon, you come in the morning, you load your van, so you're dealing with 100 to 300, 400 packages before you even get out to your first stop.
Many work in horrible conditions.
Amazon, which has over 175 fulfillment centers around the world and more than 500,000 employees, was ranked one of the 12 worst companies to work for.
Some medications are so vital, workers can't strike because others rely on them. These issues come from social atomization. People primarily look out for themselves instead of the collective goal. Many hoard supplies to insulate their community. A disconnect so powerful that Sam delivers oxytocin around the UCA. Scientists theorize that a similar problem may have happened due to social distancing. Think about the theming of the game. BTs are a horrifying unseen entity, so terrifying that people refuse to leave their dwelling. COVID had a similar effect on all of us around the globe. Going outside created a palpable environment of fear, a looming threat that could pull us under at any moment. Another element of the game that mimics real life is the delivery system. Instead of getting nothing for your work, oftentimes we hear praise from a hologram. While gratitude might not sound like much, interactions like this help keep us going. When a person drops off a package, they don't see the fruits of their wholehearted effort. Alienation from labor is a huge problem. Why am I working so hard for a company and customers who don't give a damn about me? Structuring the labor market based on mostly financial compensation feels soul-crushing. Kojima offers some potential solutions to this problem. When I see that I helped save someone, I can't help but feel like my arduous walk was worth it. Or how about being able to take a breather once in a while? Luxuries such as these aren't afforded to those in the delivery business. COVID and the labor force are often thought of as separate ideas, but they are inextricably linked. Many truck drivers face longer driving hours in high-risk areas. The same can be said for those who drop things off at our door. Sam is pushed to the max, forced to put his health on the line in a similar fashion. When thinking about all the imagery, it paints a scarily similar picture to reality. So today, I wanted to deconstruct how Death Stranding predicted COVID, how culture plays a big part in this game, and how the threat of BTs impacts our psychology. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe so you always see my latest content. I made a big claim at the start of this video, so let's break it down. We must first lay the groundwork. Let's tell the story of Sam Strand, but through the lens of an average employee. What is our primary goal throughout the game? To stop Higgs? To save Amelie? To reconnect the UCA? The answer to all these questions is a resounding no. Kojima's work is a game about finding connections through labor. While the overarching idea is to save the world, individual deliveries are the focus of the game. All the rewarding elements come from our impacts on others. I brought life-saving goods across a treacherous domain, but in the end, it was worth it. There are so many means to travel, demonstrating the different ways that a USPS employee operates. Each drop-off requires we take the packages to the front door by hand. Game design lets us gain insight into the struggles that come with shipping. Amazon workers face horrendous weather environments or hefty walks with a heavy load. These elements change the gameplay itself. Wind makes our packages sway. Rain wears down the boxes. Our hero gets an order and takes that request to a specified location. Rinse and repeat. Another aspect of Death Stranding that breaks the fourth wall is Sam's arsenal. We have almost nothing throughout the course of this game. We get some measly boots, a few weapons, and sometimes vehicles. fighting against the end of reality. Not to mention, the game rarely gives handouts. Everything you make is through the products of your labor. No real company benefits. Extended work hours without overtime pay. And physically intensive work to say the least. Sam's parallel to delivery personnel doesn't stop here. Porters aren't really expendable. Robots can't replace their work in a meaningful fashion. Delivery workers are vital to the economy, but their treatment doesn't represent their value. Think about the social currency system. When we successfully complete a mission, we are rewarded based on a number of factors. We don't have to worry about messing up. We have infinite chances to restart the mission. Although ratings on DoorDash and Uber tell a different story. Social currency has a big sway in many food drop-off apps. A negative review can potentially ruin that person's ability to get future customers. Contextualizing all this evidence, I think it's safe to say Sam is the equivalent of a frontline worker. But what about COVID? BTs have a striking similarity to Covid-19. There are different ways to interpret these enemies. They could be an allegory for depression, or a lost soul trying to find its way back to Earth. Although SARS seems like an almost perfect fit. For starters, BTs are undetectable. The average person could walk into one without realizing it. This sentiment is also true when talking about the disease. Without specialized equipment, pathogens are indetectable. Or how about the environment around BTs? Not the natural world, but the character's perceptions. Everyone on Earth lives in fear because of this unseen threat. People have genuine anxiety to leave their homes. Even the ability to hug or touch fades away. COVID-19 has had a similar effect on all of us. Many of us feel afraid or unsure to reach out during the pandemic. Social isolation is a growing problem that the disease exacerbated. I'm sure I'm starting to win some of you over, but others still may be hesitant. So let me ask you, what happens when a body necrotizes? A void out occurs that destroys the surrounding area. But what if we view necrotization as a means to illustrate the spread of the disease? Someone with COVID can disperse the infection through communities in a rapid manner. 1 or 2 cases can cause devastation if left unchecked. I think the strongest piece of evidence for this theory is Mama. Her BT baby actively harms her throughout Death Stranding. Her quality of life is greatly diminished. She has limited mobility because of her sickness. Even when her BT is severed, she still dies. Wouldn't Mama's death make the argument fall apart? If she's cured of COVID, why does she still pass away? The process of getting infected can impact our bodies in a lasting way. Those hospitalized have a greater chance of death even a year after the infection. Partaking in such an arduous journey right after being cured could take its toll on Mama's body. What's truly terrifying to think about is that Death Stranding's production started well before COVID's arrival. I think the narrative speaks volumes about the team of writers and Kojima's understanding of isolation. He explains in interviews his deep sense of social anxiety, wanting to go home and turn off all the lights. Much of his perspective maps onto our experiences during COVID. Many of us feel like Sam. Screw re-ingratiating into society. This world never cared about me before the pandemic. Not to mention, the disease took its toll on our mental health. Part of the fear was driven by the initial uncertainty of a new strain of COVID. Death Stranding expertly deconstructs the different phases of the virus. Initially, the world was consumed by fear, hoarding supplies to insulate ourselves from an unknown threat. Once tests and vaccines became available, some of our tension subsided. Death Stranding's in-game equivalent is the ability to slice BT's umbilical cords, ultimately giving humanity the tools to fight back. Not to mention, Kojima's work offers a lot of insight in how COVID was dealt with, through collectivization. So many of us put our personal comfort and happiness aside for the greater good, wearing masks to prevent the spread of the disease, practicing social distancing even when we miss our family, getting the vaccine despite the side effects. Our personal sacrifices mean so much in the grand scheme of things. Sam only delivers a few thousand packages over the course of his life. So what? His impact is minuscule, but not to the ones he helped. So now that we've gone over the finer details, let's talk about the cultural significance of Death Stranding. There are 2 pieces of culture I'll dissect in this video. the cultural elements that influence the game, and society's apathy towards frontline workers, especially during COVID. In Japan, there's a phrase called karoshi, which means to die by overworking oneself. Enough people have passed that the term has been legally recognized as a cause of death. Death Stranding illustrates how hard the Japanese citizens work on a day-to-day basis. Japan has made massive strides towards fixing this problem, but burnout is still a big issue. Historically, Sam's character takes inspiration from food workers in the past. During the Edo period, many delivery men would stack items on their backs and transport them long distances. They had a challenging job that came with a heavy load. When playing Death Stranding, we are emulating delivery people or frontline workers. The narrative in-game is always moving. Rarely do we get time to relax and unwind. Most of the game is spent working. Plus, we get almost no compensation. There is so much educational value in the media we consume, and Death Stranding is no exception. While playing, we get a better understanding of our collective history. Japan's economic inequality became exacerbated during COVID. Considering the heavy cultural pressure on work already, a pandemic makes things more difficult. Countless non-standard jobs in Japan had hours reduced. But COVID has helped Japan understand the relationship with its workers to some extent. Many advocate for reduced hours due to the limitations COVID put in place, although apathy towards employees is a problem beyond Japan. While their total working hours may have reduced, for other parts of the world, COVID took its toll. Countless delivery personnel saw increases in working time. Many faced steep pay cuts, or the added stress that comes with working through the pandemic. One of the most beautiful elements in Death Stranding is the deep appreciation for human labor. We aren't killing zombies or casting spells. We deliver medical supplies to those in need. Playing the game feels like work at times, but this is by design. Traversing this hellscape, we get a better understanding of the adversities the average worker faces. Horrible conditions, reduced access to meaningful resources, and an atmosphere of fear. Creating an out-of-body experience is something unique to gaming. I can see a person drop off a package, but I don't know the struggles they face when making it here. When playing the game, I get a better understanding of how much effort a delivery person puts in. Death Stranding is an empathy-driven work. Rather than cast aside the UCA, we work with them. Instead of shutting down, we connect to those around us. Although, this sentiment rarely takes form outside the game. How much empathy are we showing the hardest working members of society? The person who serves us breakfast in the mornings. Someone who cleans up after our messes. By experiencing this game in its entirety, we are forced to push back on our lack of empathy. We believe Sam's life is valueless until we walk in his shoes. Taking the time to recognize the adversities that come with working can help empower those with less than ideal circumstances. Our hero's plight can help give us clarity. What is Sam missing in the game? Access to meaningful resources, gratification and gratitude for his effort, but most importantly, a little love. We all jump for joy when an Amazon package arrives, but we gotta remember the person behind the delivery. Thanks for checking out this video. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit that like and sub button. It really helps the channel. Death Stranding is a transformative piece of content that has limitless educational value. From the messages about isolation and connection to the deconstruction of harsh work conditions. We all love convenience, but luxury shouldn't come with such a steep cost. I'm not advocating anyone stop using Amazon or any other service, just to be aware of our consumptive habits. To remember the hardworking, amazing people that do so much behind the scenes. Death Stranding is a beautiful work about how a little love can make a world of difference to those who are underappreciated. Let me know down in the comments. Did you agree with this breakdown? How did Death Stranding change your perception of reality? I'd love to hear from you.